guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! Welcome to my recap of 90 Day Fiancé Season 8, Episode 7, You Bad Boy, Brandon. This was a good episode, y'all. Don't forget to thumbs up this video, share on any social media platform that you deem fit, and if you are new here to my channel, go on ahead and subscribe, and if you are not new to my channel, thank you for returning. Let's have a kiki. The first couple that we are going to talk about is Andrew and Amira. It has been 48 hours since Amira has been in detention. Andrew is just all over the place. He's in the dining room area having a sad little sandwich by himself. There is no one else around him where all the eyes can see. And I'm assuming because they're smack dab in the middle of a pandemic and not that many people are there. Or it's really late at night or something and he's just out there by himself being pitiful. Andrew is online and he notices that Amira is there. So he says, "Hey babe, is everything okay?" And Amira responds that she's on a plane on her way to Amsterdam. She can't really talk because she doesn't have great service. He says that he's really sorry for everything that has happened and wishes her a safe flight. Cut to Amira. She is a ball of nerves. This red dress she's got on though, I like it. I wish I could see more of it, and I was just wanting to, because it was very fitted, you know what I'm saying? You don't see many people with a fitted dress on anymore. It's feeling very classic, like 80s, 90s, you know? Anyways, she looks beautiful. She's setting up her camera in 2 different places to meet with producers, and they ask her a couple of questions about her time in detainment, in detention. She starts to cry because she says that she wasn't given any information. She wasn't told anything about the reason why she was being held. She was given no information while she was there for 3 days. She was just in an open space. Everything was bolted down to the ground. It was like prison, okay? No toilet paper and no showers. I thought she was in Mexico City, which is a pretty advanced nation, and you would think that if they were detaining people at the airport, they would at least explain to them what's going on. I really hope that the US does not do that to people, because if they do, it's barbaric. I don't know how I would feel if that had happened to me. And she is rightfully very upset about it. She didn't tell Andrew exactly what happened. The main thing that I find to be the most frustrating is that nobody told her what was going on. And then she was put on a plane to Amsterdam and told to go home. I hope they paid for that flight. So Amira ends up telling us about how manipulative Andrew is and how Andrew made her feel like she had to go on that flight. She didn't want to go, but that he said that he would resent her forever and that he had paid all this money for the K1 visa. He's done so much stuff for her and she has not done stuff for him. And so this would be the payback, I guess, for all the things that he's done for her. They did show a scene in a commercial that she had had a conversation with her father about this, but I guess I must have missed that scene completely. So I'm sorry about that, but whatever her father says, I absolutely agree. Andrew put her in a very dangerous, precarious situation, all because he wasn't worried about her safety. He was more so worried about his needs, and I don't like him. Let's move on. The next couple that we're gonna talk about is Tarzal. I'm thinking that I must have missed a segment with them as well, because the only segment that I saw is the one I'm about to talk about. So we see Hazel and she's got a beautiful tie-dye shirt on and a jean skirt. I love it. You know, it was a very simple outfit, but it was put together really cute. She had some nice yellow wedges to go with it. Tariq is being very chivalrous. He is making sure that she's safe as she walks. He pulls out her seat as they sit, and she's looking around at all the sexy women, okay? She's trying to figure out who she wants to be her girlfriend. And I'm like, this process is going to be a lot harder than what you might think, because you're going to have to find somebody who wants to be in a relationship with the both of you, according to Tariq. But in my mind, you really want somebody that just wants to be with you and that Tariq is okay with. So Tariq says there's black girls, white girls, Latinas, there's Asian girls, but he prefers the Thai girls. Our Filipina is not feeling it, okay? Hazel says no. In fact, I know that you contacted Minty and I don't like that. And then we hear from her perspective that the reason why she doesn't like Minty and the reason why they broke up is because Tariq was paying a little bit too much attention to Minty and they were speaking together in Thai. It was making Hazel feel like she wasn't a part of the group, and so she was like, cut it out. And so they broke up. Now, I don't think Hazel was mad about the content of their conversation because she actually went through his phone and found it, but I think she's more upset at the fact that he didn't tell her, the fact that he's even reaching out or didn't talk to her before he reached out to Minty. Hazel has she's got a situation happening on her forehead and on her cheek, and I understand and I want to help her, except for mine's not curable. It's just like this thing that's happening on my face. But like, I need a dermatologist to help out our favorite Filipina, Stat, because it looks very painful. That's the last scene I saw with them. I'm sure there's probably more. I should have rewatched the episode, but girl, I had to get this video out to you guys. Let's move on to our next couple. Next couple that we're gonna talk about is Mike and Natalie. Ooh, girl. Natalie has got some nerve. Okay, so the opening scene is Natalie searching for that ring. Natalie wants that ring on her finger so that she can feel secure, so that she can feel like Mike really loves her, because right now she's not sure. She feels like it's on shaky ground. So she's searching through the house, looking for this ring, doing something with the cat. She's like grooming the cat while she's looking for... So first scene we have with Natalie, she's wearing a beautiful coral shirt. It's a good choice. It was a good color for her. Looking for that ring because she says that she needs that ring on her finger so that she can feel secure in this relationship. Okay, even though she threw it back at him, she doesn't care. She wants that ring. I've also noticed that on top of the refrigerator, she's got herself a little like Catholic altar with a baby blue cross and a little picture of some saint. She doesn't find the ring. She ends up finding like a safe, which I think is a gun safe. And she's like, oh, it must be in here. It says security safe. That's where my ring is. So she tries to put everything back the way she found it. And she continues cleaning and cooking and doing all the things that she does all day. So the next scene is we have Mike come home from work and he is tired. It has been a long week. And she immediately starts in by provoking him, by needling him. And this is where we're like, this child, she's got some absolute nerve in her whole bone body. First thing she does, you hungry, love? You ready to eat? And he's like, yeah, you know, like, what do we got? And she's like, shrimp. And he's like, oh. And so he's like, yeah, I did promise her that, you know, we wouldn't do meat some days and we would do meat other weeks or whatever that promise was. And I'm just like, shrimp is good. Why are you eating shrimp? I mean, unless you don't eat seafood, but then why would you agree to this pescatarian diet? Don't know. So she's cutting up some vegetables and she's loving what she's cutting up and eating. And he's like, oh, cool, I'll make a stir fry. And she's like, no fry. And he's like, okay, well, I mean, it's not fried. It's just the way you cook it is called a stir fry. It's not actually fried. And she's like, no fry. No fry food. And he's like, all right. So he's drinking a beer, trying to relax, and she's like, oh, I wish you would just drink some water. And he's like, no, I would like a beer. I also wish that you would just drink some beer with me. Well, how are you ever going to lose 10 kilos? He's like, well, when are you gonna gain 10 kilos? And she's like, well, I don't want you to have pasta, love. I want you to have rice. It's healthier. He says, fine, I won't make it with oil. I'll do it with water. Thank you, love. Thank you so much. I can tell you respect me. She goes up to him to hug him and kiss him, and he's like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to hug and a kiss. And she's like, why? I don't understand. I'm just trying to make you healthy. What's your IQ? And he's like, I don't know. She's like, mine's 150, very high. What's yours? He's like, I do not know. Oh, they don't do that for you in school? He's like, no, they don't do that for us in school. And she's like, oh, okay. So she makes food and they sit down and they go to eat. And she's like, you a low class drinking beer man. And he's like, what are you talking about, low class? What does that mean? Explain to me how I'm low class and I guess you're not low class. So I'm not this low class beer drinking fat people. And Mike is rightfully offended, but he doesn't go off the handle. He just is trying to better understand what's going on. And she's like, you just go to bars. And he's like, what bars? Oh, this is a great conversation. What bars am I at? I cannot even believe she's in this man's house telling him that he is a drunk white trash idiot. Excuse me, ma'am. Then she's like, have you been to any museums? He's like, yeah, I've been to the Louvre. And she's like, oh, that doesn't count. I took you. So, no. Listen, I'm a snob, okay? But I would never, ever speak to somebody like that I am in a relationship, somebody whose ring I would like back. I mean, she's an asshole. The hurtful things that she says are just so unnecessary. Next couple that we're gonna talk about is Brandon and Julia. The kids. Wow, there is so much to unpack in this episode. I have never seen two people treated like such, I mean, I don't even have any jokes. Like, Did I write jokes down for this? So first scene we have with them is Betty and Ron going away for the night. And the kids are home alone and they are ecstatic. Julia gets naked in front of the cameras. Cameras follow Julia and Brandon as they run around the house taking off clothes. They jump into the hot tub, having a good old time. There's a beautiful scene where they're like ass grabbing teenagers out by the horses. They don't know what they're gonna do with this like solid 6 hours by themselves. You know what I'm saying? Just real giddy. The next morning they're in love bliss. And Betty has something to say about it, okay? Betty is not content with their behavior and she's gonna talk about one specific thing, their therapeutic hot tub. Were those kids in her therapeutic hot tub with their clothes on? Did they have bikinis and boxers in her hot tub? Because it's looking real murky. And tell you what, they didn't put the lid on it properly, so now it's not staying hot. And Julia's like, I don't understand. So you don't want us to be together in room, but it's okay naked in hot tub. And Betty's like, yeah. She's like, listen, no clothes or jizz in my hot tub. Like, we didn't have sex in the hot tub. I said no clothes or jizz in my hot tub. And Brandon is like, well, I guess. And Betty's like, shut up, Brandon. Shut up. So Brandon is immediately put in his place and Julia is watching the degradation of this man she's supposed to marry. And she's like, Brandon is not here for me. Brandon is here for them and I need him to be here with me. Mother Betty, crazy. Since Julia got to the farm, not only is she not helpful, but she's stopping Brandon from being helpful. She's pulling Brandon away from the family unit instead of adding the extra person to the family unit. Parents are off in the farm, cleaning horses, doing whatever it is that farmers do. I still don't understand the entire point of this farm. So until somebody explains to me why they're doing this, is it for fun? Why do you have these animals that you have to take care of if your animals aren't providing you life and sustenance? Julia did not come here to work on your farm. She came here for Brandon. I don't think it was anywhere in the K-1 visa agreement that she was supposed to work on your farm. But Ron is upset. He's like, you have a roof over your head, food to eat, and you're warm. You better get out here and feed these animals. He's brushing that pony hair or whatever, that horsetail, just brushing it out real vigorously. You know what I'm saying? Get all those knots out, no conditioner, no oil, nothing. Just went to, poor horse is like, weenie, or whatever horses make. And Betty's like, I know. So they have a conversation with the kids out on the porch where Ron is real in his feelings about this situation. He's like, Brandon, you are not holding up your end of the bargain. You're not doing what you normally do. You're in there serving her tea and I don't like it. And Brandon's like, well, she's the one who makes me stay because she doesn't want me to go. And Ron's like, no, absolutely not. And Julia's like, no, absolutely not. Don't blame this on me. You're a grown-ass person. If you know you need to get out there and feed them horses, you better get out there and feed them horses. Excuse me, I'm gonna take my leave. So she gets up and leaves. Betty's not saying anything for one. She is just letting Ron go off. And Ron is like, you need to grow up, Brandon. And Brandon just gets up and leaves as well. He has nothing to say about it. He has no rebuttal, nothing. He goes into his room, Julia is in her room. Then Julia comes out of her room to go to his room and he's playing video games because, you know, he needs to decompress. It's too much. He's being pulled to and fro. Two people are pulling him. He doesn't know what to do. He never expected this. He thought that Julia would get there and be fine with doing the work and they could spend time together doing the work, but that's not what's happening. So he's spending time with her not doing the work because that seems like a good thing to do on a farm. Girl, Brandon is an idiot. And Brandon's like, I feel like I'm being pulled in two different directions. And she's like, listen, Brandon, I can't do this, okay? I don't know what to give your parents. I've done everything they wanted me to do. I'm shoveling shit. What else do they need? And he's like, well, maybe we need to just do what they want and just get up early and help them out on the farm. And she's like, okay, I guess I'll try. So the next morning it's 7 a.m. They're all sitting around the table with a giant TV on the table. And I'm just like, this is a pack rat house. Like, I can't. It's too much stuff everywhere. There's only 3 people that live in this house. Why do they have the sunroom just filled with nonsense? I don't understand it. It's too much for me. Anyways, and so Ron is upset that Julia isn't awake. It is 7 a.m. She needs to be up. I guess at 7:05, she gets up and she comes and sits next to them. And he's like, well, why didn't you get up? And she's like, I did my best. I did the best that I could. Why didn't Brandon go and wake her up? Or maybe he did. And she was just like, no, Brandon, I'm sorry. I'll just take the wrath. I need a couple more minutes of sleep. I'm not a morning person. It takes me like 2 weeks to get myself to being a morning person. It takes a lot. I have to like like really push myself and be like, okay, if you get up, you can eat. And then I'm like awake, ready to go because I can eat. So she goes to sit down and Ron's like, I guess you can have your tea. And Betty's like, nope, no tea for you. Get up. You lost your tea time. Let's go and feed the goats. So they go feed the goats. And Julie's trying to do what she does and Betty's trying to tell her how to do it. And she's like, look, I don't even want to be here, okay? I don't even want to be here. So you're going to let me feed these goats the way I want to feed these goats. Then we cut over to Ron and Brandon. And Brandon says that having this farm is not his dream. It was never his dream. It's just something he did because his parents did it and he lived there, so it's fine. But his dream now is with Julia. So Dad's on the top, throwing down bales of hay, and then we see a little gun action from Brandon as he moves the hay over. Just a little gun action, just a little gun. I was checking for it because I'm like, if you're moving bales of hay, you must be strong. Farm hands are usually strong, but you know, Brandon has that wiry woman's body. And the dad's like, look, Simba, one day all of this will be yours. And Simba's like, I just want to go have sex with Nala. Watching Brandon not stick up for himself and say how he feels, watching him be an actual coward is really hard for me. Say what you want, say how you feel. And if you don't, and things don't end up being the way that you wanted them to be, then it's no one's fault but your own. A closed mouth don't get fed. And sneaking around with your fiance in order to get around your chores is not the way to do it. Stop letting them berate you in front of the camera crew, the entire world, and your fiance. I bet you her love for him is just dwindling as the day goes by because she knows she's the man of that house and she wears the pants. So the next couple that we're gonna talk about is Yara and Jovi. In this segment, Yara has been by herself for 3 weeks and she is just walking around the lonely streets of New Orleans. And she's sad. She says she's been feeling herself going into a depression. She's not feeling well, but there is a silver lining. She ends up having a date with her mother-in-law and her auntie-in-law. She shows up like a lady ready to lunch. You know what I'm saying? Just like all the gold hardware my heart desires. Her blazer on her shoulder because she can't even be bothered to put the blazer on. Sits down with these ladies in a coffee house and they're trying to convince her to have some kind of wedding party. And Yara stubbornly is like, no, I don't want to do that because my parents aren't going to be there. And I'm thinking this has gone a little bit too far. There is no way that she can say that no party or no celebration is to be had for their wedding because her family cannot come to the US to be there for it. That is bananas. His family is there. There needs to be some kind of party or reception or whatever. And the mother needs to stop trying to talk to Yara about it and just throw it. Make it a surprise. Tell them to come over one weekend and then they'll just have this party. They don't need to coordinate anything with Yara because they have a son there. Their son is getting married. Their nephew is getting married. They're allowed to celebrate it. If Yara doesn't want to celebrate it, she can stay home. So it seems like they're having a good conversation with Yara besides that. And Yara ends up saying that she's going to think about it, but girl, we know she's really not going to think about it. She just wants to change the subject. So the subject gets changed to the fact that Yara has had a fiance in the past. And the aunt and mom are real suspicious about it because this means something, then they're gonna get to the bottom of it, which I don't know what it means. Like, who cares? She's like, it wasn't real. It wasn't a real thing. He gave me a ring, yeah, but it wasn't like a real engagement. He didn't even my parents. It wasn't any of that. It was just kind of like a promise ring. But they want to know who, why, what, ooh, because they need to figure out whether or not she is in love with Jovi or she's marrying Jovi in order to get her citizenship. They're gonna suss it out. You know what I'm saying? Those two. I honestly don't think that she's using Jovi. I think she does love him. She just wishes that he were a different and better person. She's at her apartment in her silky pajamas that don't look like pajamas. And she's talking to her friend. She tells her friend she's not feeling well. The friend says, you need to go to the pharmacy, get yourself a pregnancy test, and let us know. So that's what Yara is gonna do. She is not ready for kids. She says that her and Jovi have been being careful, and I'm like, what does that mean? What does being careful mean? The pull out and pray method is not being careful, sis. You should do some family planning. Last couple is Rebecca and Zied. The last couple that we're gonna talk about is Rebecca and Zied. After the awkward dinner with Micah and Tiffany, Zied gets his tour of this rundown looking sad apartment. And Rebecca in broken English tries to explain to him that she has furniture in storage, but she doesn't have a truck in order to bring the furniture to the apartment. And because she's so busy with work, because she's the main breadwinner, she hasn't had the time either. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure Micah has a truck. and he looks like he has time, so why doesn't he do it? Ziad is overwhelmed, you can tell. He's overwhelmed and underwhelmed at the same time. He understands that there's no furniture, but he's like, it's okay. He's so tired and sleepy. And she's like, yeah, Ziad, you don't seem happy or excited or anything. He's like, I'm just tired, I gotta go to sleep. So she takes him into the bathroom, and I'm pretty sure it was a brand new experience for him because we saw what his bathroom looked like. She was gonna give him that royal treatment. I would not be surprised if she rubbed him down. So the next morning they have this fake wake up scene where she's like, I gotta go to work, and they're kissy kissy kissy, and so she gets ready to go to work, girl, and she's in a rush because we see later on that evening her makeup is just like all over the place. That eyeliner, child, it's just like up here, it's down there, it's everywhere. So she goes to work at Jolene's Hot Chicken. Oh, I want some so bad. And he's at home bored by himself in a Cosby sweater. He looks for the coffee, he looks for the milk, which is in a giant jug. I love it when people come to the US and they realize that US does everything in like the biggest quantity. Oh, so big. And everything he has to read because he doesn't quite know what it is. So it's just like, I liked watching him be like curious about everything. He's like, sugar, good. I'm like, is he gonna actually make himself some coffee? I don't think that Ziad knows how to do that. He normally just goes out and like buys coffee and hangs out with his friends, which is what he said. So he does his hair in some kind of chicken mohawk situation that didn't quite achieve the goal that I think he thinks looks good, because I don't think it looks good. He's bored in this like brick apartment until he gets some kind of furniture. And so he calls his mom. He tells his mom about the dinner. Mom is not okay with that dinner conversation. She's like, listen, he's Moroccan, we're Tunisian. Don't get it twisted. There are two countries in between our countries. We are not the same. Is it two countries or one? It's like Liberia, and then it's like Morocco, and then it's like something, and maybe Tunisia. Maybe it's next door. I don't know. I don't know North Africa all that well. He calls his mother and he is really homesick, okay? I don't know how long he was at work. And also, she's the general manager. I wish she would have just went to work for 4 hours or worked from home or something, girl. Did she have to go to work? It doesn't seem like it's 2 hours later and she calls him and she's like, hey, I'm on my way home. I got your stuff from the post office. I guess he mailed some clothes. And so he's like, oh, okay, good. Yes, I love you so much. So much, very excited, love you. So he comes down, he gets the stuff, they come upstairs. That grocery store cart comes in real handy in this industrial building that they live in. She's real nervous though. She has to somehow tell him that she used to live in this building with her ex, which is just like drummed up drama. It's so unnecessary to tell him that. And so Ziad says to her, you know, after the summer, maybe I could go home. And she's like, what? He's like, yeah, I miss my family, my friends. I know it's only been 24 hours, but I would like to leave in 3 months. And she's like, well, you can't leave, okay? The K-1 visa says you can't leave for another year. Oh, that's so much time. And she's like, yeah, you're all mine. I know what a year feels like. I've lived a year without you and I won't do it again. I'm happy for them. I hope they have really good sex. All right, so here's hoping that Ziad gets used to America. I imagine it's super different. She needs to hook something up, okay? She needs to take a weekend, get the bed, get that video game console, like, you know, tell him places that he can walk to and go explore, put him in some classes to learn some English, because her speaking broken English to him is not gonna help him out at all. I'm pretty sure there's things that he can do. She didn't even have the wherewithal to get a couch. Girl, get you a couch. Get the couch. A couch, any couch, okay? All right, you guys, so that's the end of this episode. Let's have a kiki and a conversation down in the comment section. Let me know what you thought. This was such a juicy episode, and I can't wait for next week's episode, okay? You guys have a fantastic week. Remember to be you, be true, and find your place. Bye. Y'all, I forgot to mention the point when Natalie's like, oh, you drunk, you scared me. No, get out of that situation. You know, absolutely not. Absolutely not. This man is not even drunk. I don't know what the percentage was, but it couldn't be more than 6 on that beer. And she gonna tell this man that she's scared? No, Mike. That is a red flag, okay? That is a crimson flag. That is a flag made of blood, okay? Get out of that. I'm scared of you? Absolutely not. All right, that's all I had to say.